So in this video, we're going to talk about Section 8. There's some benefits of Section 8. There's some downfalls of Section 8. If you work the system works, but if you don't work the system, it can be very costly. So we're going to go over some of the do's and don'ts and some expectations of how the program works, because it is a government agency and it's run like one. Hey guys, I'm Mark Ruiz, and here, welcome to Rugged Real Estate. Rugged real estate, to me, to us, is an unconventional way of doing real estate. I mean, there's not a right way. There's a wrong way, but there's not a right way to do real estate. There's 100 ways to skin this cat and make money. Now, what we like and what we found is we make the most money doing the stuff no one else wants to do, and that's what makes it rugged. So, at one point, we really got into Section 8. When we started doing rentals, we saw Section 8 as a safe, secure way of guaranteed money from the government. Now, I will tell you that having done hundreds of Section 8 houses, remodeled, rented, and we actually built a business model catering to Section 8. Like, we literally remodeled hundreds of houses with the specific intention of putting them on the Section 8 program, and we remodeled them in a manner to make sure that we pass inspections. So Section 8, there's pros and there's cons. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right up front, Section 8 is a pain in the ass. It is a government agency and it's run like one. Now, the beautiful part about Section 8 is once you get through the hurdles and you work the system and you're in, they've never missed a payment. Now, getting in the system is cumbersome. So let's just start from the beginning. When you have a house and you're willing to rent Section 8, the way that Section 8 works is they issue a voucher to the tenant. So you're still got to publicly market your property to bring in tenants. Now, what the little difference is when you market these properties, you basically tag it, willing to accept Section 8. They bring in their voucher. So if somebody comes in, they bring you their voucher and they decide, yes, I want to rent this place. So you start the paperwork. It's not like normal rentals where you just sign a lease and they pay you a deposit and they move in. You sign the paperwork and you sign the voucher and you send it back to the housing office, and each individual tenant has a housing coordinator, and they start processing the paperwork. This is where it gets a little bit more challenging because, we talked about, the purpose of having rentals is to generate cash flow. And every day that your rental isn't occupied and generating income, you're losing money. So the first downside of Section 8 is it takes a few weeks to get onboarded. So you take that voucher, the tenant fills out their portion, you fill out your portion, you submit it to the housing coordinator. The housing coordinator does their review, they approve it, then it gets passed on to the inspection department. Now the inspection department comes out and the inspector comes in. Their primary purpose is to make sure that the house is safe and habitable. Now, one of our complaints about Section 8 is what's the word I'm looking for? The thoroughness, maybe. Originally when we started years ago, it was pretty basic stuff, making sure there's no safety hazards, there's no obvious wrong going on with the property. And it makes sense. I mean, you want to make sure that your people, and you don't want slumlords on there just bringing any kind of trash and renting it to people, because that has happened. But as time has gone on, these housing inspections become much more intrusive. And I mean that the best way I can. They are almost as thorough as a home inspector, and they're checking things that in my opinion, shouldn't matter to the rentability of a house. Anyway, so you go through the process. You get the paperwork, you submit the paperwork, they review, approve the paperwork, do the inspections, and then they give you a list. You make the repair list, they come back out, they do another inspection, and then they approve the tenant to move in, and they start paying from that day forward. So if it takes a week or 2 weeks or a month to get through that initial inspection period, you're not being paid. Now, what is nice about Section 8 is once you get through that process, you get a monthly deposit, and they direct deposit into your account, and the government doesn't miss payments. Now, another positive side of Section 8 is there are requirements, and the tenants have to qualify for the program before they get a voucher to be able to even come to you to present that. So it reduces some of the upfront qualification work or pre-screening work, because they've already been pre-qualified through Section 8 with certain criteria. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't screen them. That doesn't mean that you don't interview and talk to the people, because just because Section 8 is paying their rent and saying that they don't have any felonies, they don't have any evictions, they don't have some of these things, doesn't mean they're good people. Doesn't mean that they're not going to trash your house. Now, the chances are in your favor that it's not going to happen, because if you have to evict somebody, it's going to go on their record and they're going to lose their voucher. But at the same time, if they trash your house, they have no financial repercussions. So Section 8, it's kind of like partnering with the government in a way. If you ever worked with the government, you kind of understand what that means, because it definitely has its benefits, but you're also got to follow their rules, follow their guidelines, and more or less you are reactive to them. He who has the goal makes the rules. So you do what they want, when they want, how they want it, and they pay you. So yes, you want to make sure you understand, one, what the rental rates are, what the housing voucher is willing to pay, and for each. So one of the things that we learned, the amount of bedrooms makes a big difference on the amount of rent. We intentionally only did 3 and 4 bedroom houses because a 2-bedroom house doesn't really cost less to renovate, but it doesn't rent for as much. So you're not making the same income, even though you're not really spending that much less money. So we focused on the 4-bedroom vouchers. We also 3 and the 4-bedroom vouchers. In the area that we worked in North Tulsa, we had a large amount of these 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-car garage houses, about 1,000 square feet. And we figured out, it cost us $7,000 to convert that garage from a garage to a bedroom and a bathroom. Now we have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house versus a 3-1-1. Now the difference is about $250 a month in rent. So, but if it cost us it probably cost us 10 with inflation. But even if it cost us 10,000, and we roll that into the deal, into the mortgage, and amortize it over 20 years, you're talking $80-90 in a monthly payment, but you increased your rent by $250. So what is that? A 2.5 time return? So we figured out that in Section 8, largely, now there's different versions. Every city, every state, there's a local housing, there's a state housing, and then there's federal housing, there's Native American housing, there's veteran housing, there's all kinds of Section 8. Section 8 is kind of a blanket term. It's not one specific agency. It is a housing program, a affordable housing program that is facilitated by the local municipalities. Is that a word? Municipalities, can I say that word? Anyway, so each of the local offices. You work with the local office to understand what the rules and regulations, make sure that you understand what the quality guidelines are, because nothing is worse than going through and failing an inspection, and the scope of work that required to get through is so much greater than what you're willing to spend. Like you might as well not even go through the process. Now, so the moral of the story is you want to understand who you're working with and how their processes work. Because Section 8 is a government agency. It's run like a government agency. They do not care what you have to say. They do not care about your opinion. It is very much, does it check the box or not? And make sure that the boxes that need to be checked are worth you checking. And then once you're in, it is pretty seamless, but getting in is very cumbersome. So you make sure that the extra time and the extra effort of going through that process is worth it to you before you get started. If you like what you heard here today and you'd like to be part of the conversations going forward, please join us in our Facebook group, Rugged Real Estate Investing, or better yet, just click the link in the body of the text. But if you get in the group, you can have regular interactions and conversation with us, and I'd love to see you there. Love to talk to you again. Thanks for joining us.